Welcome back to the Pacific Office Automation Postgame Scoreboard show. And yeah, you heard it in the imaging right there. It is time for our Bellagio's Pizza Very Best Player of the Game. The very best player of the game is brought to you by Bellagio's. Remember that the player of the game, once Will Ortner gives it to us, and when you hear the text to win cue in the noon hour of Monday's Danny and Dusty show, you could win a free, delicious pizza from Bellagio's. All right, Will. It's that time. I thought I knew you were going with this before the break.
Yeah.
I confirmed it in the break, but it's someone we actually haven't talked a ton about today. Who is your Bellagio's very best player of the game?
Well, it has to be the quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. Not only did he get engaged this week, so that already put him up some style points for me.
Congratulations on having a wife or a wife-to-be. That's
Fiance.
wonderful. Yeah.
I heard those are wonderful. Would love to find one time.
You're young. It'll happen.
That's right. He went 20 for 24, 291, 2 tuds. Obviously, that's going to be 83% completion. But the other big stat for him, he had 4 rushes, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, the long coming at 54 yards, and that ended up being their second touchdown. I just felt like Dillon Gabriel, for the first time that we've seen him as the quarterback of the Oregon Ducks, was in complete control. He knew where he wanted to put the football. If he needed to run, he ran, and he outran everybody. If he had an open wide receiver, he didn't miss them. He put the ball on them, and they were able to make explosive plays this game. At one point, I saw when it came to plays of 20 or more, in the first 2 games, they had 6 against Oregon State. Oregon had 7, and that was still with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth.
Yeah, I think they finished with 8 or 9 of those. But yeah, they had more than they had all season leading up to it.
Very impressed.
It feels like he's making the right calls, the right checks, and he's getting through his progression a little bit more. Some of that, I would imagine, is because of the time that he's getting, but it also just seems like he's making very savvy veteran decisions. He's rarely putting the team in position to turn the ball over, and he's almost always hitting a receiver who's open. I don't feel like he's trying to fit it into very tight windows. Granted, it may be because he has amazing receivers who can get themselves open. Yeah. That's a big part of this. But the thing that really stood out to me today, and I wonder if it buys him more opportunity in this area of his game throughout the season, and that was the running game today, especially on that speed option where they got the matchup they needed. They realized if they could make the one guy miss, they'd have it, and he gives that one quick little ball fake, and he's gone. It reminded me of how Marcus Mariota used to run, where it wasn't a lot of dancing around, but it was like, I know that if I can just make the right fake and the right read to get by this guy, I've got the wheels. But what he showed me today was that he could run without putting himself at risk. There were a couple times where he picked up 4 or 5 yards on the rollout, but he got out of bounds, and he didn't risk getting hit near the sideline, and he didn't risk getting hit sliding over the middle. And I wonder if offensively he'll get more of an opportunity to use his legs to generate plays because of the fact he's proving he can keep himself safe out there.
Right. I also think that's a major part of his game. Like when he was at Oklahoma and when he was at UCF, he ran all the time, and he's a smaller guy, so I understand why Coach Stein and Coach Lanning might, be telling him, hey, let's just try and get the ball in our skill players' hands. There's a reason why they're at running back and receiver and tight end. We want to see them try and make guys miss and take those hits and not you. But at the same time, you don't want to hamstring a guy when he has that athletic ability. And anytime you can add a quarterback into the +1 run game, it completely changes what a defense has to do in coverage. If they have to spend one linebacker or one safety where they are just spying on Dillon Gabriel,
making sure you don't take off like that,
it completely changes the one-on-one matchups, and now you're going to have more opportunities for Tez Johnson or for Evan Stewart or Trayshawn Holden, who has just exploded this year, to be in one-on-one matchups. I like those guys in one-on-one coverage. I feel like they're going to win more than they lose, and that's going to be a big deal, too, for Oregon as they look for more and more explosives.
Yeah, it does feel like, as you look at the box score, like I feel like on any given play, Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Evan Stewart, they could all win their matchup, and so can Terrence Ferguson for that matter. So it's an embarrassment of riches for Dillon Gabriel, but today he played nearly a perfect game with his legs, with his arm, with his reads, and obviously, most importantly, gets the massive W in the Civil War with the 49-14 victory as the number 9 Ducks take down the Beavers in Corvallis.